Hello, and welcome to another episode of What Would Helen Say? In this episode, Missing You, we rewind a little bit to last week's session where my client shared that there was a loss in the family. We not only talk about that loss a little bit, but we really get into the biggest loss that she has suffered in her life of someone close to her. And we explore some of the pathways of grief and where she's at with grieving the loss of this significant person. If you like the work that I'm doing and you would like to support me, or if you're interested in accessing premium content with detailed notes of how you can apply these skills to your own therapeutic journey, please click on the link below for more information. Thank you. How are you doing this week?
Um, Pretty good, I want to say. I don't think there was anything like too out of the ordinary this week.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I didn't let much really bother me, so pretty good.
All right. So, did you have an opportunity to connect with your little cousin?
Um, we spoke briefly. We still haven't had like a deep talk. Um, I was supposed to take her to get her clearance, but her mom, well, she canceled my appointment that I made, and then went and made her own because she said that she wanted to take her. Um, I'm like, okay, so she ended up taking her instead of making her wait like she originally planned because she knew that I was gonna do it. Um, and from what I'm hearing from her mom, I still haven't spoken to my little cousin yet, but what I'm hearing from her mom is that the session or whatever didn't go so great because my little cousin didn't want to speak to the lady, and I'm like, I kind of know why she didn't want to. Um, you kind of already put it in her head, like, oh, if you say this, they're keeping you, and that's just that. So it's like she already know, like, she's walking in there completely guarded. She don't want to talk. Like, of course. And I'm like, also too, this is not something or someone that she chose. This is something that was like forced to her. So she's like, like, she don't want to be vulnerable and open up to that person because you don't know them. So
No, that makes sense.
yeah, I know she just took it as like, oh, the next time you do something like that, I'm bringing you right back, and they gonna keep you. And then the people there, I don't feel like they made it any better because they're just like, oh, well, you need to listen to your mom. You don't do things like that. If you get mad, you need to go and scribble on a wall or scribble in a book. I'm like,
What?
who are these people?
Right.
Exactly, exactly. So she was like, oh, they said it's nothing wrong with the way that I parent. It's all her. They put it all on her. And I'm like, that's exactly why.
Oh my
That's why.
goodness.
Like, you're happy about that. Like, so I text her and I was like, just call me whenever you're ready to talk. Like, her mom was like, oh, well, did you talk to her? Because she'll listen to you. I'm like, it's not about her listening. Somebody needs to listen to her. Like, that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, so she's like, oh, well, did she call you yet? Because she don't listen. I know she ain't going to call. I'm like, I'm not forcing her to call me. When she's ready to, I know that she will. Like, that's not going to stop me from talking to her completely, but I'm just not going to bring up certain things knowing that she don't want to talk about it yet.
Which is good that you have a sense of patience and allowing her to take the lead and do things in her own time.
Yeah, I just don't. I told her mother, though, I was like, she was like, oh, well, if she tries something like that, like she's going to come back. And I'm not going to keep on taking off of work to bring her back to these places. So I'm like, well, I said, okay, well, with that attitude, she's going to do it again. And this time, it might be successful. Then what? You won't have to take her back to that place.
Then she's not going to tell anyone.
Exactly.
Her telling
Like,
somebody was reaching out for help, saying, hey, I don't
exactly.
really want to do this, but somebody help me.
Exactly. That's what I try to explain to her because she's like, "Oh, that was stupid for you to even go and run and tell your friends your business, and now look, she told on you." And I'm like, "Good. She told her friend for a reason. That's somebody that she felt comfortable with, regardless if it was going to get out or not. She needed it to come out."
Yes, but how the mom is reacting is discouraging her from ever reaching out again.
Exactly. That's why I told her, I'm like, "It's gonna happen again. It's going to. I know that." And that's the scariest part.
That's the scary part.
Exactly. And I'm just like, it'll be hard for me to really get to her. I'm 45 minutes away now, so like that the kind of relationship that we did have, it was like, I was like her go-to, so it's like I can't get to her quick enough if something like that was to happen. She's not gonna tell you or anything like that. Like she's gonna do it.
But here's the thing, it's still important for you to rebuild as much of a relationship as possible because even if she chooses to reach out to you first and tell you, you can always call 911 and say, hey, here's where she's at. Go.
Right, right, okay, yeah. I was actually telling my grandmother I'm thinking about like calling her tonight. Just like even if we don't talk about that, just talk about something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm definitely probably gonna call her like once we're done here. I'll call her.
Okay. I'm sure she needs to know that somebody cares about her and isn't
Right,
just worried about if she's making their life harder.
right, right. I'm pretty sure now she feels like an inconvenience. Like she like a burden kind of. So like that's so messed up. I just don't like how it's being like disregarded. It's literally in your face and you still don't see it.
And it's still being dismissed as, you're fine, you have nothing to feel this way about.
Hmm.
But obviously she does.
Exactly. I'm like she's not just she didn't randomly just wake up and decide like, oh, let me act out today. This has been like a build up over years. Like it's been you let it get this far. So I don't know why is everyone so surprised. I think that's why they're like, oh, you're just taking it so lightly. I'm not. I just knew what to expect already. I called this 2 years ago. I said it. I
Right.
told y'all. I said it to everybody. But they're like, oh no, no, no. Okay. And now look. And now everybody's so confused. And it's just like, why not prepare and step in when I said so? Like, why not get the help when I told you?
Hmm.
So, I did ask her, I'm like, do you feel comfortable like speaking to anybody? And I let her know about, like the counselor that come to her and said, she said yes. I told her, I'm like, well, she's open to, speaking to someone. And she like, well, she didn't speak to them today, so that girl ain't gonna talk to nobody. She's just gonna be sitting there looking stupid. I was like, okay, well, oh well, forget it then.
Sometimes it takes a while for people to get comfortable because, one, like you said, this is a stranger.
Exactly.
You don't
And she
just,
already had a bad experience for one in the past, so
right. So it takes a while for that trust to get built up and for her to feel like this person has her best interest at heart. Like,
Mhm.
it's not just going to be boom, bang, boom. Like, none of this works that way.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I was trying to explain to her. And it was like I just got so frustrated. I'm just like I really felt like I was talking to a wall. It was just everything that I say, no matter how I said it, it was just going in one ear and out the other. I'm like, okay, yeah, no. I'm like, yeah, I'll call you back. Like, I just have to get off the phone because you aggravating me now.
Right. And it's a reflection of the mom and her
Hmm.
issues and her unwillingness to accept there's a problem.
Yep. She just dismissed everything as like, oh, that girl crazy. I'm like, okay. So every time she kept saying that, I was like, well, if you think it's crazy, then what's the reason? She's crazy for a reason, right? Like, you're gonna keep on saying the same thing. I told you to stop calling her that, but you want to continue to do it. Then tell me the reason why.
Yeah.
This is just insane. Yeah. So we'll wait. I'm gonna try to speak to her tonight when she's by herself, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And we'll see how it goes for sure.
Okay. Well, definitely hoping for the best. You're able to connect with her and she feels safe with you.
Right. Thank
You're welcome.
you.
So, how you been juggling everything else? I mean, last time you shared that, that family member had passed away, and we didn't even get to the grief part of that.
Right. That so like I said, since I moved away from like where all of the rest of my family is, I haven't still been over there yet. The services are scheduled for this weekend, so this will be like my first time seeing them. Um, Honestly, I have distanced myself, especially I told you like with my mom. I feel like kept like focusing it back on her, and it kind of turned me off in a way. So I really just that's another reason why I didn't want to go over there. I had more than enough time to go over this past weekend. I could have, but I didn't want to. So I just stayed home, and I think as far as the death overall, I don't think it fully like registered yet, and I think that happens to me a lot. I don't really like realize it until like I'm there, like in the services, and then I'm just like, oh wow, like this is like really real. Like I never, like I don't know, I don't really accept it too well. Ever since I told you, like with my cousin that passed away in her sleep with the seizure, I think that was the only one that has ever hit me like instantly. Other than that, I've never really dealt with it until, once you see it physically and everything like that. But yeah, she was the only one where I just like lost it immediately.
Right.
That one was like the hardest, I think, for me. But yeah, but I spoke to my mom. I want to say yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure. But she was talking about like the services and everything, and she was saying how my cousin was like really anxious about the service and just like asking questions and everything. I'm like, well, yeah, it's her mom. She's gonna be anxious. Nobody wants to plan something like that, especially the relationship that they had. I'm like, you just need to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more understanding. And from there, like she didn't even care. She just jumped straight into like what she was wearing, and she wanted me to help her find something to wear. The thing, the things that I found, and I sent her trying to be nice, wasn't good enough. She told me she needs to be a little bit more dramatic. She needs to stand out, and I'm just like,
It's a funeral.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I can't help you. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, well, good luck finding whatever it is that you're looking for because I don't know. Um, she couldn't wear something. I don't even know what it was. She couldn't wear it because someone else was wearing it. I'm just like, everybody wears the same thing to a funeral.
Pretty much.
You have on your pants, your skirt, or a dress. Like, where? I don't understand. Like, we all wear the same exact thing.
Right.
I
It's
don't know
like
what you want me to
a
say.
fashion show.
Exactly. But this is her regular. Like this is just her. But I'm just like a funeral. I'm like dramatic. Why should you be the one standing out? I'm like, it's not about you.
Like it's so obviously not about you.
Exactly. That's why I said, like, I was telling my fiance, I'm like, it's gonna sound so messed up, but I'm like, when it's her time, I'm gonna make sure it's the most lavish thing ever because that's what you want. You want that. So you're gonna have like pearls and everything all over because that's what you want. Like, why are you even worried about that right now? Why? Why is that your concern?
That is just sad.
It is. It is.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing about her is, I can guarantee you, her outfit or whatever it is that she chooses is definitely going to match her level of acting that day because that's how she is.
Oh
So
yeah.
I just know. I know already. I already know. And this is why it's like everything is like a performance for her. So yeah, we'll see.
Wow. I don't, to me, that just feels disrespectful. Like,
Exactly. You just have to be the center of attention. Like, you know, I don't understand. I don't understand it. And they were like pretty close. And even then, she's still like, oh, 'cause they were cousins. She's like, oh, all my cousins are leaving me. Now I'm by myself. Why would they do this to me? I'm like, okay,
but they died. They didn't just
yeah,
abandon her. Like, they didn't
yeah,
move. Like,
exactly,
wow.
exactly.
Okay. Well, we just keep reestablishing how many issues that's going on there.
hmm
But we're not here to figure her out. We're not here to try to help her. We're here to.
Yes, that's why it's just like it's so hard to escape her sometimes because I'm like, you cannot make this up. You really cannot.
Oh gosh.
Exactly.
Well, we're not gonna let her hijack your session. Um, she's over there. Let's come back. Um, because two things that you said before going into that really stand out to me. Um, one is about it hasn't hit you yet, which is that's normal. I definitely want to make sure I normalize that for you.
Okay.
That's a part of death and being able to kind of adjust to it. That at first it feels surreal. Like you kind of have to
Mhm.
keep reminding yourself, did that happen? Did it
Right.
really happen?
Right.
And then, over time, it starts to feel more and more real because it's common for even months after the loss of that person. A person may wake up feeling like, oh, I'm gonna talk to so and so, and then it hits them later. Oh, wait,
hmm
you know.
Right.
So that's a normal reaction to death. I don't want you to think like you're doing something wrong, that there's something else going on with you. No, that's completely normal. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing is, it sounds pretty significant, the loss of your little cousin.
Yeah, definitely.
Have
Like
you,
I know that like that was like terrible. Like I don't even know how to explain
okay.
it. Yeah.
So, have you ever really talked about that with anyone?
Not really. I think like my friends more than likely probably. But that's really about it. I haven't really spoken, like deep about it. Um, most of the times when I do like talk about her, I always talk about like, fun things or, happy things like that. But other than that, like, no.
Okay. So, in one respect, being able to talk about the positive memories, the things of that nature, that is a very positive coping skill. Um,
hmm
Often try to divert people back to someone's life and not just constantly focusing on their death.
Right.
I guess what I'm concerned about is how that loss hit you and how it's impacted your life.
Um, I feel that it impacts me a lot because just as I'm close, like to the other cousin, like they were sisters, so I was super close to the oldest one as well. Because I'm the oldest grandchild, I was always, over at my dad's side. They all lived there, so we were constantly around each other, and she clinged to me because after me there was like a bunch of boys in between, so she was like, the first girl after me. After like there's like six boys in between, so that's just we were like super close. She was here before like my little sister came around, so I've seen her like go through a lot. Like I've been there throughout like her sickness and everything, and she literally called me every morning, every night, did not miss a beat. Like every morning, every night. Didn't matter what she was doing, what I was doing, and this is, I want to say, I don't know what year I was. It's probably like my third or fourth year in college, and I'm just like, she didn't care how busy I was. She would just call and be like, hey, I just finished my homework, or she would call in like, I need help with my homework, or I'm hungry, and just anything like that. Good night, and she would make like birthday cards. Then she started like sending me letters to school, and I'm just like, girl, I'm not that far away. But like, it was just so cute. And I want to say I spoke to her Monday night. Tuesday night, she didn't call me, and I'm like, Wednesday, no, Tuesday night, yeah, before I went to bed, I said, I cannot wait to cut this girl up tomorrow because she just missed a day calling me. But I'm like, once I realized it was already late, so I'm like, I don't want to get her in trouble and call too late. So I'm like, I'll just wait until tomorrow. But I'm like, she got some nerve. Because as soon as I don't answer the phone, like, she would just trip out. Like, what was you doing that you can't answer the phone for me? So I'm like, oh, she got some nerve. I cannot wait. Then Wednesday morning, I don't know why, like, I jumped up. I was off work. I don't think I had classes until probably like late that night. But I jumped up really early, and it's like soon as I rolled over, my phone was ringing. So I'm like, oh, now she want to call me, and it's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, why is she calling me so early? So I answered, and um, it was her mom. I couldn't hear what she was saying. She passed the phone off to the younger one, and then she told me, I'm like, what? Like, it didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, what do you? How? I literally just spoke to her. What are you talking about? Like, that's impossible. And I was like, right then and there, I just like lost it. Cause I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Like how? And then right after, like all the calls just started coming in back to back, and I'm just like, uh, it's like kind of disbelief, but it was just like, like to me, I felt like she was fine. This was right after her eighth grade graduation, so I want to say this would be now there. She was probably in like her second week of school because school had just started. So she was like happy, she's in high school now. And she's telling me like, oh, I can't wait to come to your school once I'm done with high school. Like she was so excited. And I'm like, we would talk about her going to like she always called it big girl school. So I'm like, we would talk about big girl school all the time. And that was our last conversation was about big girl school. And I'm like, well, you gotta finish this school first and then you come to my school. And she's like, oh, yeah, because I was dormant. She's like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to sleep in the room with you. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be here that long. But okay. Like, having a nice conversation. And then I'm like, to get that call, that did not like sit well with me at all.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, this sounds like maybe one of the first people who needed you in a healthy way and
Hmm.
validated, your interaction with them and valued your interaction.
Yeah. She was anybody that like she had a nickname for me. And she would say like my nanny. Like that's what she always said. Like, no, you're mine. So like when the younger one came around, the one that we were talking about before, they would like argue all the time. She was like, "No, I was here first. She's mine." And it was just like so cute. But yeah, like she was like in love with me just as I was in love with her. So it was just like crazy to me, and I'm just like the first thing that was on my mind, like once it kind of registered, I'm like I just got up and I went straight to her house. Like I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
And I think that that was like a really, really bad breaking point for my family, I would want to say, because she was like that, that you always have like that positive light, like, that little kid, like she was that kid. So that one like really messed everybody up. Like I said, she had her own like different illnesses and things like that, but from what we were told, like she was fine. So it was just crazy to me, something that she had been going through her entire life. Like she's always had seizures. So not to say that we normalize it, but like like she'll be fine. Like I've seen her in the hospital hooked up to different things, and she'll be laughing her whole entire time. Like, or I would kind of know when like a seizure was coming on. Like that's how like normal it was. Like okay, I think you need to sit down and take a break. Like and she would feel it too. Like I'm about to sit down, need to get some cold water. If she gets too hot, certain things that she can't eat and things like that. Like we will already know. So I'm like for that to like happen while she's sleeping, like what?
Mm. Such a
And then I just kept saying like like was it painful for her? Like, did she feel anything? You know what I mean? Like, did she try to call for help, but she couldn't? Like,
shame.
I don't know.
Do you still have those kind of thoughts where you wonder about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Does that feel traumatizing for you to think about that?
yeah, for the most part, yeah.
For when you think about that situation, what do you think is like the best case scenario? Like you can't change what happened. It's not about that. It's not about magical thinking and suddenly she's here. But if it had to happen, how do you envision the best scenario?
Um, it was just like an instant thing. Like, no type of struggle, no type of like her feeling anything, or just like I don't know, like she just was asleep. I don't know. Like in my mind, I'm like, did she like? I know they said it happened in her sleep, but like you jump out of your sleep. So I don't know if like she jumped out of her sleep and then this happened. And like I said, like I don't know, was she trying to reach out for help? Was she trying to get up for school or like anything like that? So I would much rather it just been she was asleep and that was that. Like she didn't feel a thing, nothing, out of the ordinary occurred. She just didn't get up for school.
Okay. That's what I want you to think about from now on. Those questions can randomly pop up. That's just part of life. That's part of how our minds work. We're just random things. Poof, they're there.
Right.
But the trick is not to entertain them, not to sit with them and keep going with that thought and building more detail into that negative thought.
Hmm.
When you catch yourself, introduce the scene you want to have happened because
Yeah.
nobody can tell you differently.
Right.
And at this
Yeah.
point, it's about giving you comfort.
Hmm.
So if that's the scenario that helps you to whew, and feel like, okay, then that's what I want you to stick with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what she wants for you as well.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure. It's just so crazy. It's been like so long, but it's like I still like feel like certain days I'm just like, oh boy. Like I would never ever ever imagine that. Like never. Especially when people are like sick or whatever, they're like in the hospital and then It's like kind of like doctors are like numbering their days kind of thing. It's like, but I'm like, I don't know if that's like selfish of me because when you're in the hospital, she would like basically drag it out. If this was like the end, she kind of like dragging it out. But
That's not selfish. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of like you just wanting some type of warning.
right, right. There was no warning. I swear, I literally took her Monday night, and then nothing on Tuesday, and I believe that summer, yeah, for that summer, my aunt had asked me to babysit that summer and the summer before, so like I was literally with her every single day. And then when I went to school in August, they started school in September. So yeah, that was like crazy for me.
Right. So,
Yeah.
how did you adapt after that?
Um, I know for a fact, like school went terrible for me. That whole semester, there was like no coming back from that. I had to retake every single class. Um, I want to say probably that year itself just did not go so well. Now that I'm like rethinking it, I think that was the first time that I was like shut off completely. Like I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I didn't attend anything on campus. I didn't go to any parties. I started to miss out like definitely on a lot. Different opportunities. Um, that year I was gonna go full force and like start pledging and everything. Like, I didn't do anything, so I missed out on a lot. But it was just like I could not bring myself to be happy when I'm just like that's not right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I would try to like tell myself, she would want me to do this, or she would want me to be happy, and like when I got good grades, like she would be excited. That was our thing, but it's like I could not bring myself to do it like at all.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, what finally made the shift for you?
Um, I think honestly just time. So I don't feel any different. There's certain times where it's like I'm supposed to be at my happiest, and then I would think about her all over again. I'm just like, well, damn, like she really not here. Like that's so crazy. And our birthdays are like near each other. Like it's just a lot. So it's like her birthday comes first, and mine is 2 weeks after. But she will always like, oh, I want to celebrate, my birthday with you. I want to do big girl stuff, and I'm like, girl, no. So it's like she had big plans for her birthday, and for her to like, basically pass away right before it. It was just like, we did have plans on going out and everything. So yeah.
So, the thing about grief is it's never ending, you
Mhm.
know, because there's never come a time when you don't miss that person, where there's an event that you like, oh man, I wish this person was here. Like this would have been so great if so and so was here. Like those moments are always going to happen throughout the rest of your life.
Mhm.
So it's never about getting to a place where you don't grieve and you don't miss that person. It's just about getting to a place where you're better at dealing with
Yeah.
those feelings.
Yeah. I want to say overall, I want to say accepted, but like kind of, I was able to deal with it better. Once I had my first daughter, I named her after her.
Wow.
So, and I think right before that, I got like tattoos and everything. One with her name, and then one I have like her face on my back. So I felt good after the tattoos, but I'm just like something else is still missing. Like something is missing. I don't know. Um, then I had my first child, and I'm just like, yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. That's what I would do. So it felt like a little bit better. Now they have like the same nickname, so sometimes I actually say the first name and I say the wrong name sometimes. I'm just like, oh my god, this girl. And yeah, like I show her like her pictures and everything, like she knows her name, like she'll point to her like pictures around the house and things like that. And like in my phone, she sees it like on my lock screen, so she definitely knows who she is.
Good. I mean,
Yeah.
part of dealing with death is finding new ways to keep that person alive,
Mhm.
to keep them a part of your life, even though they're physically not present. And it sounds like you're doing pretty good at it.
Yeah. Yep, I try. Definitely try. That is just I just never imagined that. But I think, like I said, like there's there has been like a lot of death like around me, I guess, but that one really like messed me up the most.
Yes. I mean, I can see why, because she was the first person who was really reciprocating unconditional love,
Hmm.
and you lost her.
Right. Yep. I always felt like that was like my first baby, and she would. That's why she would like go crazy and tell people that too. But yeah, it was definitely my baby.
Good.
Crazy.
So, shifting a little bit into this new death, like, how do you feel like this loss is different for you?
um, I feel like now I don't know how do I say it. It's like I'm kind of like categorizing them to say like it's crazy and it's definitely gonna be weird like without the person around. But I didn't want to. Oh my god, this is gonna sound so crazy. So I feel okay. It's sad. I do feel sad about her like not being here anymore. But because I was so focused on my cousin and like her mental, I feel like I just blocked like my feelings to the side because I'm like I don't want to take away from her in a sense. Like even though we're all losing the same person, I know that your loss is greater. So I want to focus completely on her. So I haven't really processed it for myself. Yeah, I kind of just like put it to the back of my mind. It's like, I'll deal with it on that day when everyone is dealing with it at the same time, but I don't want to be like, sad and down and out, falling out and everything because I don't I don't feel like I deserve to do that kind of.
I want to shift those words. I don't think it's a matter of saying deserve, but I get where you're coming from in terms of, like, yeah, she does need people to support her in this
Yeah,
moment. And you can't support her if you're putting her in a position of needing to support you.
right. Yeah. She talks about her a lot, of course. And like I said, her and her mom was like super close, so she talks about her mom like almost every day. She was like going through old pictures, and her mom was like that mom who has like 1,000 pictures, like from when we were like small, small, like all the birthday parties, sleepovers, holidays. Like her mom has all those pictures. So going through all of those, she was sending me all of them, and I'm just like, wow. And she's literally like the exact like split image of her mother. Like before her mom was like really sick, and like she changed like physically, she looks exactly like her. So I'm just like, it's so weird. And she's telling me, like, it's scary where she would FaceTime me and send me the pictures at the same time. So she would be looking at them and she's crying, but then she starts laughing because it's just like, wow, like that's so crazy. And she's like, I never really paid attention to it that much, but now I'm starting to see like what y'all have been telling me over all these years. So I'm like, I can't be sitting over here like crying and all sad and everything like that when Like she needs to go through that in a way.
Yes, and in time, I understand right now, is not the time, but
Right.
in time, she may need to know that it's okay, that if she cries, that you're okay with crying with her, that she's
Mhm.
not inconveniencing people with her grief.
Right. Right. Yeah. Makes sense. I didn't even think about it that way.
But a lot of people do feel that way, and it's often kind of referred to as the second death because yeah, you lost your loved one, but then oftentimes people start to fall away from that person because they don't know what to say. They feel awkward and like, oh, they're crying again, or they're talking about so and so again. What do I do? What do I say? You know,
Mhm.
and it's just uncomfortable for everybody.
Right.
So then if those people don't fall away, then that person just stays away
Mhm.
because they feel like,
Yeah,
well,
I was kind of like trying to tell myself that too. I'm like, I didn't know what to say to her because I'm like, I know everybody's saying the same thing. Like, are you okay? I know that you're not okay. Like, I know that. So I just like asked her, like, what are you doing? Like, what did you do today? And she also has a daughter, so I'm like, do you need anything for her? If she needs to come over and play with the girls, like I'm okay with that. Just let me know like what you need or whatever. But I feel weird asking her like, is she okay? Because everyone is asking her, is she okay? And she's not.
right. So instead of asking, are you okay? Because you know she's not,
Right.
being able to say, how are you today?
Right. Okay.
Because it really helps people when you say, how are you today? Because how
Mhm.
today may be different from tomorrow and different from yesterday.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. That's the thing. I'm just like I didn't know what to say. I was texting my other cousin. I'm like, well, what did you say? Like, what did y'all talk about? Like, I don't want to be, like that person to be like all like annoying and awkward. But it's like, she felt the same way. She's like, I don't know. I just sent a prayer. Like, I didn't know what to say either. So I'm like, oh my goodness. We're all like fairly close, so it was just like really weird. But
I get it.
yeah.
I mean, but just asking her, like, do you want to talk about your mom?
Mhm.
Because it does help for
Yeah.
people to share that sense of grief. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know what I was watching. I was watching a movie or something, and I heard this line, and I felt like it was so perfect. It was so perfect. Grief is meant to be shared.
Mhm.
Like, the more you kind of engage with other people about your grief, like, the more you move into healing and getting
Yeah.
better with dealing with it.
Definitely. I told her though. I did think. She was saying that she felt herself like going into depression at one point. And this is before like she found out that her mom had passed. And I was like, I did tell her that I feel like she needs to talk to someone because I do think she went through a lot in a short period of time. And now to basically be kind of like alone, you don't have your parents, and she's the only child. She's basically by herself now in this house. So she only has like the one daughter. So. And they will always make a thing like, oh well, it's just gonna be the three of us. Like that's what her mom would say. Like she would say it. So that's like their own little secret thing that they had going on. So it was like so cute, and now she's just like there's no more three of us. Like and then like I said, like with her finding out about her own illnesses, she's like, well, am I gonna do the same thing to my child? So now what's next? Like when does it stop?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she's got a lot on her shoulders.
Yeah. Basically losing both parents to like the same thing. So yeah. Mhm. I told her. Yep.
Hopefully she'll listen because
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so much to just have to work through grief by itself. Like
Mhm.
just that is so much to have to work through. But she's looking at this generational dynamic and she's looking at
Yeah.
the future of her child. And while she's got to settle her mom's affairs, but she doesn't know what she's doing with her own affairs because of her child. Like,
It's a lot. I don't know if or how I would like manage that at all. Like, I don't know. That is so scary.
so
That's super
she,
scary.
and she needs to know that other people are there with her.
Mhm. Yeah, we have a trip coming up in a few weeks. I told her, if you don't want to come, but she's like, no, I'm definitely coming. Like, I need something. And I'm just like, okay, just making sure. But
I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. She said she needs some kind of relief. I'm like, listen, whatever you want, whatever. I don't care. It's supposed to be the my bachelorette trip, but I'm like, listen, no, we're gonna have some fun for you, and do something. But it's not gonna be all about me. Like, I'm okay with that. It's fine. I know that you need it way more than I do. Like, I'm okay with that. I can celebrate myself, but we can definitely, celebrate you as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So having fun is having fun. Who cares what the reason is, right?
Right. That's what I told her. I'm like, girl, listen, it don't bother me. We'll have fun regardless. So yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So I guess in a couple of weeks, then we'll come back and revisit where you're at with your grief.
Yes. Yes. We'll see. Yeah, this like I said, the services are Saturday. We'll see how this goes. And it's like it's so messed up, but I'm not even worried about like the rest of the family or the service because I'm sure it'll be beautiful. Just worried about that one person overshadowing, and that's like not fair. That's so not fair. But at this point, it's like I'm at like at what point do I just feel like okay, whatever. Like that's just what you are. That's who you are. Whatever. Or like the other half of me is just like, is anybody gonna tell her? Like, when is somebody gonna tell her? Like, do I have to be the somebody?
Maybe. This is how I look at things. So when it comes to telling somebody else whatever it is that you want to tell them, if you want to tell them that because you have any expectancy at all for that person to change, it's the wrong reason to tell them because
Okay.
they're most likely not going to change. And you're just going to be frustrated and then angry on top of that because it's like, well, now you know. How do you just stay where you are and put your blinders on after you've been told this is a
Mhm.
problem? Like, you're just going to be more upset about it while they go about their life and they don't care.
Right.
If you want to say it because it's meaningful to you, for you to know you said it,
Mhm.
it's the right reason.
I feel like now, besides just like her being like over the top, I feel like there's just so much that I just wanna, like, I just have to say. There's a lot that I want to get off like for my own mental, I guess, because like we talked about before, like it bothers me like daily certain things, certain things from the past or like anything. If she says something today, then I like be reminded of something that she said like 10 years ago. So it bothers me a lot. But I try to think about my actions before I do it and try not to be so impulsive. And I kind of already know the outcome. I feel like that's what's stopping me.
Well, here's the thing. Again, the outcome is never for the other person to change. Not going to happen. The
Right.
reality is, if she wanted to change, she would already be doing that.
Right.
So it's never about getting her to change, it's about honoring you. Do you feel like you are somehow failing you by staying quiet and not saying something?
Kind of.
So I want you to think about it. I mean, again, I'm a big fan of journaling. Sorry, there's a tickle in my throat. But I'm a big fan of journaling. I think it's a great way to get those thoughts out there, put them into language that helps your brain to start processing that information. Um, write it out, and you might be all over the place at first, but the more you look at it, you refine it, and you'll get to a place where you know exactly what you want to say that honors you.
Yeah. I kind of told myself that before. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a book, but then as I'm like writing, I got to like probably chapter two, and I'm just like, it was like reliving everything all over again. So it's like as much as I wanna, I thought it would be like super cool. It would be therapeutic, and kind of like I don't know, but I just couldn't even bring myself to finish it because I'm just like the more I relive those things, it's like not even hurtful at this point. It's more like anger.
But that's okay.
Okay.
There-
Okay.
There's an aspect of feeling angry that's really about empowering you to stand up, hold people accountable for their behavior, and you create the change for your life that you need. So, trying to connect this to something else. When working with victimized people, and I mean that anyone who suffered abuse, you've suffered any type of trauma where there was a perpetrator,
Mhm.
involved. Part of that path to healing is allowing yourself to become righteously angry.
Mhm.
And that means you have every right to be mad at this person for how they treated you. You have
Mhm.
every right to hold them accountable for what they did and what they said.
Mhm.
It was wrong and it was hurtful. And in some respect, there is with intention to destroy some aspect of you.
Right.
You have a right to be angry about someone taking it upon themselves to treat you in a way you didn't deserve.
Mhm.
So when people tell me, like, I'm getting angry, I'm like, yes, you're
Mhm.
making
Okay.
progress. We're getting there.
Right. 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 Okay. That's why I just kept up. I'm like, oh, nope, you're getting yourself angry again. Stop, girl. Just stop. But now I know that probably will help me, like, kind of accept it and finish writing a little bit. I do enjoy writing, but anytime I felt myself feeling a way that I didn't think I should feel, I guess, I don't know, I would just like stop.
Your feelings are never wrong. You may not understand them in that moment, but they're never wrong. So let them come up, write about it, say it out loud, whatever it takes to put it into language.
Hmm.
And then over time, it'll start to make sense. The
Okay.
only thing I don't want you to do is get stuck where you're not making any progress. You're just constantly bringing up these emotions and swimming in them, and nothing is really
Hmm.
happening. You're just in a bad place and you're not allowing yourself to move forward. That's what I don't want to happen.
Okay. I'll try. I mean, I'll open up that journal that I bought weeks ago We'll try.
It's a process. Again, if writing isn't your thing, I know you said you do like writing, but if for whatever reason it's not your thing right now, then doing a voice journal, saying it out
Hmm.
loud, has the same effect. It's just about putting those thoughts and feelings into language.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that is our time for today.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay.
Bye. Hi, I'm Helen V. Hicks, and thank you for having tuned in to another episode of What Would Helen Say? Hopefully, you'll come back again next week as we explore a little bit more in regards to what does it mean to be righteously angry and how that sets people free from the victim dynamic, and you learn to empower yourself and set the boundaries that are necessary for you to live the life you truly want to live. Once again, if you like the work that I'm doing and you would like to support me, or if you're interested in gaining premium access to detailed notes of how you can apply these skills to your own life, please click on the link below for more information. Thank you very much.